exclusive United Legacy insiders. I'm Mehdi Amini, CEO of United Legacy, and I welcome you back to episode 18 of Behind the Curtain in the midst of an ever-changing world where financial shifts and developments can shape our legacy. It's crucial to stay informed and prepared for what lies ahead. In today's episode, we have an exciting lineup of topics to navigate through. We will dive into the groundbreaking system that has arrived on the scene, FedNow. We'll also take a closer look at the intriguing use of lumber as a leading indicator for housing and how it affects asset prices. Additionally, we'll dive into the latest report on producer price inflation from June. Together, let's explore the mysteries of the financial world and embark on a journey of understanding and foresight. Join me as we go behind the curtain once again. FedNow payment system now in effect. Introducing FedNow, the dawn of a central bank digital currency era. The U.S. Federal Reserve's groundbreaking payment system, FedNow, has finally arrived, promising an instant and seamless payment experience between financial institutions. With the early adoption already underway, rolled out to 35 early adopters and major banks like JP Morgan Chase leading the charge. The Fed's goal is to eventually connect more than 9,000 banks and credit unions nationwide, tossing out the old payment system. This revolutionary system poses a potential threat to payment intermediaries like PayPal and Venmo. Imagine a future where transactions happen instantly, eliminating the need for cash apps, expediting paychecks processing for individuals and businesses. As more banks embrace this cutting-edge technology, they're setting a precedent for a modernized U.S. payment infrastructure. Will FedNow be the catalyst for a new era of central bank digital currency, revolutionizing how we exchange money? Let me know what you think. Many believe this is also the beginning of social credit score system. You know, what they have already implemented in China? Yes, it's real. Imagine a United States where if you oppose the wrong party on social media or even jaywalk across the street, the government could black access your bank account until you remove the post you made or pay the ticket for crossing the street illegally. Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, stated over time, as more banks choose to use this new tool, the benefits to individuals and businesses will include enabling a person to immediately receive a paycheck or a company to instantly access funds when an invoice is paid. While this sounds good in nature, in general, the government should refrain from providing goods or services unless there's a market failure. We need less government, not more government. This principle applies to the payments industry as well, which has been effectively served by the private sector. The Federal Reserve does not need to take over or regulate the payment system to fulfill its monetary policy objectives. Congress has recognized the potential risk of this government competition with private sector and has sought to limit the Fed's ability to do so, including the introduction of the FedNow, which will hinder private firms in the industry. Central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, could pose even greater negative implications. Despite criticism, the concerns raised about CBDCs remain valid. Make no mistake, if the tide continues to move in this direction, with central banks providing retail bank accounts to the general public and controlling every aspect of money, there will be little room left for a private banking industry. As a result, we will most likely see more bank failures in the near future and could possibly end up with 4 or 5 banks controlling 90% of the deposits in the U.S. Lumber to gold ratio and effects on asset prices. In the last week's episode, I briefly touched on the connection between lumber as a leading indicator for housing. This week, I want to dive in a little deeper into lumber to gold ratio and how it affects asset prices. So stick with me. Housing activity is like a special sign that tells us how the economy is doing in the United States of America. It's really important because it helps us understand if things are going well or not. When we talk about housing, one material that is very sensitive to changes in the housing market, as we all experienced through COVID, is lumber. If there's a lot of demand for lumber, it means that people want to build more houses, and that's a good sign for the economy. On the other hand, we have gold, which is a precious metal. Gold is different from lumber because it doesn't change much when the economy goes up or down. It stays pretty much the same, and people usually think of gold as a safe place to keep their money when things are uncertain. The interesting thing is that we can look at how lumber and gold are doing compared to each other to get clues about what might happen in the future. If we see that lumber is doing better than gold for a certain period of time, it means that the economy is growing and things are looking positive. This is a good time to take some risk with our investments, like investing in companies that might grow a lot, or in our trust deeds. On the other hand, if we see that gold is doing better than lumber, it means that the economy might be slowing down and there could be some risk ahead. In this case, it's better to be careful with our investment and focus on protecting our money. This idea of looking at lumber and gold to make an investment decision has worked well in the past, and many experts have found it helpful. It's like having a secret way to know when to be cautious and when to be bold with our money. So what's happening today? Let's talk about that. Gold has been outperforming lumber from 2022 in November to about April of 2023. It was about $360, and since then it's gone up to $570, outpacing gold for the last 2 months or so. Does this mean we're in a risk-on environment and to go out and buy stocks? Some will say yes. Many will say no. The best thing to do is not guess, but watch both lumber and gold react in relation to each other for your answer on what to do with your portfolio next. Now on to June 1st report on producer price inflation. The latest report on producer price inflation suggests a temporary halt in the Fed's rate hike plans and a decrease in market expectations of inflation. The figures reveal deflationary trends with both PPI final demand and PPI core coming in below expectations. This indicates a need for the Fed to pause and suggest smaller revisions in PPI month over month. In May, producer price inflation declined, driven by 0.3% decrease in the producer price index for final demand. The decline was primarily attributed to a 1.6% drop in good prices, while service prices showed a modest increase of 0.2%. Final demand for good decreased by 1.6%, mainly due to lower energy prices. However, there were expectations such as increase in tobacco prices, Additionally, transportation and warehousing prices experienced a decrease of 1.4%, potentially signaling future trends in the Consumer Price Index, CPI. The report's findings have led to a dovish reaction in the bond market, particularly due to the significant drop in goods and food prices. On a positive note, there are indications of business optimism and potential economic growth ahead. Businesses have been investing in capital, equipment, and machinery, which suggests confidence in the future. However, there have been a decrease in demand for transportation and warehousing, which may reflect a more stable economy. The decrease in producer price inflation offers hope for deflation, which could result in lower yields and a change in the Fed's mindset. It is seen as a positive development with potential implications for the market. Sure enough, shortly thereafter, the Federal Reserve decided to pause interest rate hikes, holding the federal funds rate steady at 5.25%, 5.25%. What they decide to do from here is anyone's guess, but if inflation continues to improve, the rate hiking cycle may be over. How long they hold rates at this terminal level of 5.25% is yet to be determined, but as they say, will be data dependent in their decision. Thank you for joining us on episode 18 of Behind the Curtain. As we navigate the ever-changing financial world, staying informed and prepared is vital. From the groundbreaking FedNow payment system to understanding the lumber to gold ratio's impact on asset prices, we've gained valuable insights for our financial journey. Today, stay tuned for our more episodes, or I should say our next episodes, as we continue to empower ourselves in this dynamic landscape. Good night. Remember to stay informed and prepared for what lies ahead.